Okay, hi guys, welcome back. I'm just checking it's recording and it seems to be. Welcome back with another video with Linksi. Today we're gonna have a hyperactive Linksi because I just caffeinated myself and that means I am full of energy. And also we're talking about an interesting development with the latest patch. So, a big thing about the latest patch, which hopefully through the power of editing and my mediocre skill in it, I will introduce somewhere around here. Yeah, we'll try that. Is the update patch, right? And they fixed something interesting. Apparently, there is a bug which was present in the older patches, which is with regards to growth. Growth on hard, very hard, or legendary seem to appear always as in normal, which is 200 out of 200 growth to get to the next level of your province buildings. Now, that is a big change because now in legendary and hard and very hard in legendary, the growth has increased drastically, significantly so, because we're gonna check it right now. But on legendary and very hard, it is out of 600, and on hard it is out of 400, meaning that it is much harder now to go up from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 in your settlements, right? But that is not just for us, that is also for the AI. So when we're playing against the AI is going to behave tremendously different, especially when you're talking very hard and legendary, where the AI basically pays no money to recruit or upkeep its units. Yeah? Now think about it. The AI, which used to spend a lot of money into development of its settlements, and quite a number of strategies that we developed were based on the fact that we let the AI develop settlements and we take them at high development rates early on and allowing us to access really high tier units. Now the AI is leveling up much slower, quite comparably to those of the human players, and what is it doing with the rest of the money? Well, I'll tell you what it is doing. It is recruiting a lot of low-tier units, and these low-tier units are drastically different for every faction. Rather than going straight for doom stacks, which they do still get doom stacks, as clearly seen in some of my later campaign tests, like especially with the Rakard stream that I'm doing. You can see that around turn 80, the High Elves decided that it was time for D-Day, and they launched an all-out assault into my territories with really strong unit stacks, not broken stacks we were seeing before of like 20 dragons, like turn 80. At least that's not there yet, but they were really strong, and at the same time, it's more fun. Why? Well, think about it. The game is going to take a bit longer now before we have to rush to the end game, so we can take a longer mid-game. The longer mid-game is generally beneficial to us as the players, human players. It allows us to expand, stabilize, and start recruiting our own doom stacks, our own army compositions that we like. That is a doom stack at the end of the day, an army that is able to deal with pretty much any other army that you're training it against. Now this could be like the optimized doom stacks that we all know and love from Legend of Total War, or also on Legend of Total War, where he's showing us the doom stacks that people sent him, and some are just meme stacks, like Okoi and Tariff and all of the big memers out there, Gaming Ramos as well, with his Demigriffon Knight doom stack, quote unquote. I don't know where the doom is for the AI or for the human player if they choose to build that as the Empire. That said, let's jump into the campaigns and just check out the numbers and see how this developed overall. Interestingly enough, before I jump in, I do want to make a point about the video put up by the Great Book of Grudges, where he did that 405 turn time-lapse of how the AI behaved with the Chaos Invasion. I saw on Twitter that he is going to do another one without the Chaos Invasion sometime soon. I understand this takes a lot of time, so it might be a while before you see it, but then again, the guy's a machine. However, it does show quite an interesting thing. I was really interested to note the growth of Skaven, especially Queek, in his campaign was just massive, like absolutely stomping everyone. Got stopped in the end by sheer just having too many borders, and all the AI turning on him. And then what I noticed was that towards the end, and I would like to see, the next 75 turns, the High Elves were getting beaten back by Bretonnia and the Empire, meaning that if you let the campaign run long enough, an AI faction will take complete control of the mech by around turn 600, as then Bretonnia and the Empire would be very strong and interlinked, so a battle between the two would be quite tremendously disastrous. Let's jump into the campaign and see what happens. So I always like to put the baseline with Tyrion, as Tyrion, I believe, is one of the most vanilla experience you can get with Total War. It is the most noob friendly, at the same time also it's one of the most amazing campaigns to play on Legendary. And as you can see over here, the growth is out of 600 for one population, and the growth factors remain the same, so meaning it's going to take quite a bit before we get to the next population growth point. This, of course, can be changed with agents, it can be changed with buildings, and you can actually stack it up to be quite ridiculously high. But it is quite interesting to notice the difference in growth. That said, this is not just for us, but also for the AI around us. So the AI around us, instead of developing the regions, such as it would be in the case here of the Cult of Excess, when normally they would develop the regions quite high and you can get them at tier 2, you're probably only going to get them at tier 1, changing the way we play the campaign altogether. Also, apart from this, is that to get to tier 5, we're going to need to have spent over 13 points, if I make my maths right. No, 12 points. 12 points of growth. I apologize, my maths is not correct today. So 12 points of growth to be able to get there, and 12 points of growth at 600, it's a lot of turns. I mean, more or less, if the math serves right, you're going to be looking at reaching tier 5 around turn 30 if you do have an average of 50 to 100 per turn. This, of course, will change if you get plagued by rats, and rats do tend to come out of nowhere. Thankfully, in Lothern, it's quite difficult for us to get there. If you get sieged, if you get your lands raided, and so on and so forth, if you get, very low population as well, then you get problems to your growth and public order through the population happiness. That said, now jumping into a campaign which we have evolved quite a bit, and I'll use my Rackard campaign as an example. I could also check in with my Wood Elves campaign. However, unfortunately with the Wood Elves, you cannot really measure growth normally, as their growth is quite significantly different. Welcome to the chaos that is the campaign that I have with Rackard. It is a campaign where I am suffering and struggling very, very much. Currently, all of my regions are under assault from everywhere. So you can see the growth goes exponentially as well as you are going forward, with regards to the more growth you need, the higher growth you have, the more growth that you need, and getting at 3,000 just to get from tier 4 points to 5 points is just absolutely crazy. Now, that said, we do have 235 coming in, and that is including the fact we have minus growth for all of the rebellions and raiding and whatever that we have. What I really want to talk about is the fact how the armies are behaving at around turn 80. Usually by turn 80, everywhere you see there will be doom stacks. In this case, we're seeing a lot of really high tier units, but mixed in with a ridiculous amount of low tier units. Vargheist are tier 3, if I believe, right? Skeleton Warriors and Graveguard, tier 3. Very few Corpse Guards here and there. Manfred is like sprouting Black Knights, which again, they're strong units, but they're not very, very high tier. And if I was to look at the High Elfin armies, if there's any of them still alive, there's one over here. It is simply tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 units. You see some phoenixes, but no dragons. I have seen 12 dragons in an army by turn 80, and that terrified me. I think that was in the campaign that I was playing with... I forgot which with Noctilus, Count Noctilus, yeah. It was just absolutely insane. I invaded Alt 1 at around turn 75, and Tyrion attacked me with 12 dragons. It was absolutely crazy. They melted my Necrofex Colossus. It's really nice to see that they still get lower tier units, but then I am terrified to see what they will do when they're fully built. It gives us time to make strategic decisions on the map, such as my just disastrous strategic decision to come and take the Empire, which seemed like the most logical step to take, but I forget that the Empire just struggled from so much vampiric corruption, because if you kill Karl Franz, the vampires are going to grow tremendously. So, I won't make this video much longer than it already is. What I am going to do say is, and I'm going to use this as a campaign as an example, tell me your experience with the new patch. Tell me what you think. I put a poll up. You can go tell me there. You can tell me in the comments of this video. And let's try and piece together the best strategies, the best ways of dealing with the situations that we're going to be facing. I love Total War when it changes, and this is exactly what I've been looking for, a bit of a change. I was getting a bit stale with the last patch, mostly due to the fact, well, once you played this game 5-6 hours a day, every day, for months on end, you get used to the patterns and you start creating your own patterns to deal with it. I play games to exploit the weaknesses of the AI. I do not play games to roleplay. That is not the way I play. I understand quite a number of you do, and I take my hat off for you because that is a good way of enjoying your time. For me, I enjoy breaking AI and making it suffer. That said, I also like when the AI is adapted a little bit. In this case, I see the AI has adapted tremendously. Did CA mean for the changes that happened happen? I do not think so. I think this is all basing from one factor being changed, and that factor is the growth of settlements being altered slightly, have drastically changed and altered the character of the AI. The AI behaves differently as it now has different ways of spending its money. If you want to see, and I will put a link to the live stream where it happened, when I had like 15 of these armies of high elves just coming in, hitting me all across here, they were 5 or 6 armies just attacking Isle of Wights, and I cannot pronounce Conquata, let's go there. And I had no armies up there. I just killed Altarian over here, and my armies is a little bit battered. There was Alariel with the Sword of Cain, and of course I was not even being aided at all by Malekith. He did send this admiral down here, the Black Ark down this way, but even then, look how much it's suffering. It was full stack that, and he's barely holding on over there. So lots of little details, lots of changes and lots of adaptations, but it can be quite interesting to note what will happen and what will change. That said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a lovely day. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing. I do videos almost every day, or at least 5 to 6 times a week. I do shorts as well, where I just take highlights of my streams or just funny things that I find in-game and upload those as well. So check them out, and do please leave a comment. Helps the algorithm immensely. Even if you just say hi, bye, you suck, or subdued, I will try to reply to everything. I usually reply within the day or 2 days to every single comment I get. And that said, have a lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.